Colin's mistakes written in imitation of Spenser's style. Matthew Prior. Fast by the banks of Came was Colin bred, ye nymphs, for every guard that sacred stream. To Wimple's woody shade his way he sped, flourished those woods, the muse's endless theme. As Willem Colin ancient books had read, lays Greek and Roman would he oft rehearse, and much he loved, and much by heart he said, what Father Spenser sung in British verse. Who reads that bard desire like him to write, still fearful of success, still tempted by delight. Soon as Aurora had unbarred the morn, and light discovered nature's cheerful face, the sounding clarion and the sprightly horn called the blithe huntsmen to the distant chase. Eftsoons they issue forth, a goodly band. The deep-mouthed bounds with thunder rend the air, the fiery coursers strike the rising sand, far through the thicket flies the frighted deer. Harley the honor of the day supports, his presence glades the woods, his orders guide the sports. On a fair palfrey, well equipped, did sit an Amazonian dame. A scarlet vest, for active horsemanship adaptly fit, enclosed her dainty limbs. A plumed crest waved o'er her head. Obedient by her side her friends and servants rode. With artful hand full well knew she the steed to turn and guide, the willing steed received her soft command. Courage and sweetness on her face was seated, on her all eyes were bent, and all good wishes waited. This seeing, Colin thus his muse spake, for Altides was the muse to Colin nigh, me, too nigh. Or, Clio, I mistake, or that bright form that pleaseth so mine eye, is Jove's fair daughter Pallas, gracious queen of liberal arts. With wonder and delight in Homer's verse we read her. Well I ween that emulous of his Grecian master's flight, Dan Spenser makes the favorite goddess known, when in her graceful look fair Britomart is shown. At noon as Colin to the castle came, up were the gates, and right prepared the feast. Appears at table richly clad a dame, the lord's delight, the wonder of the guest. With pearl and jewels was she sumptuous decked, as well became her dignity and place, but the beholders mock her gems neglect, to fix their eyes on her more lovely face, serene with glory, and with softness bright, O beauty sent from heaven, to cheer the mortal sight. Liberal munificence behind her stood, and decent state obeyed her high command, and charity, diffuse of native good, at once portrays her mind and guides her hand. As to each guest some fruits she deemed to lift, and silence with obliging parley broke, how gracious seemed to each this imparted gift. But how more gracious what the giver spoke. Such ease, such freedom, did her deed attend, that every guest she rejoiced exalted to a friend. Quoth Colin, Clio, if my feeble sense can well distinguish you an illustrious dame, who nobly doth such gentle gifts dispense in Latian numbers, Juno is her name. Great goddess who, with peace and plenty crowned, to all that under sky breathe vital air, diffuseth bliss, and through the world around pours wealthy ease, and scatters joyous cheer. Certes of her in semblant guise I read, where Spenser decks his lays with glorianous deed. As Colin mused at evening near the wood, a nymph undressed, beseemeth, by him passed, down to her feet her silken garment flowed, a riband bound and shaped her slender waist. A veil dependent from her comely head, and beauteous plenty of ambrosial hair, o'er her fair breast and lovely shoulders spread, behind fell loose, and wantoned with the air. The smiling zephyrs called their amorous brothers, they kissed the waving lawn, and wafted it to others. Daisies and violets rose where'er she trod, as Flora, kind, her roots and buds had sorted and, led by Hymen, wedlock's mystic god, 10,000 loves around the nymph disported. Quoth Colin, now I ken the goddess bright whom poets sing, all human hearts enthralled be her power, her kindness the delight of gods and men. Great Venus is she called, when Mantua and Virgil doth her charms rehearse. Belle Phoebe is her name in gentle Edmund's verse. Heard as the muse, and with a smile replied, which showed soft anger mixed with friendly love. Twin sisters still were ignorance and pride, can we know right till error we remove? But Colin, well I wist will never learn. Who slights his guide shall deviate from his way, me to have asked what thou couldst not discern to thee pertained. To me the thing to say. What heavenly will from human eye conceals, how can the bard read unless the muse reveals? Nor Pallas thou nor Britomart hast seen, when soon at morn the flying deer was chased. Nor Jove's great wife, nor Spenser's fairy queen. At noontide dealt the honors of the feast, nor Venus nor Belphoebe didst thou spy, the evening's glory and the grove's delight. Henceforth, if asked, instructed right, reply, that all the day to knowing mortals sight bright condish holes Harley stood confessed, as various hour advised and various habit dressed,